Hi, welcome to HeKate's Crossing. Okay, as we continue our journey of Mindful Tarot. Now, we looked a little bit about the preface, we looked at chapter 1, we skipped to chapter 2, we went into chapter 3 with the Wheel of Life. Now, chapter 4 is learning to drop anchor. Okay, so let's just read the first I just want to read the first little paragraph here. Turbans, crystal balls, and Roma caravans. The commonplace image of the tarot as an ancient esoteric device tied to secret knowledge and hidden powers is actually not so ancient. Although the tarot has been around for nearly 600 years, it wasn't until the modern era that anyone claimed an occult origin for its meaning or use. Okay, so I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about tarot as such. I don't want to talk about things that work. Just going into here. Just going into this here 1 second. Chapter 5 talks about the 4 suits and the boundless abodes. And we're not going into all about each tarot, what tarot is, as you can, there's lots of reading and things that you can do about the 4 suits: the swords, the pentacles, the wands, and the cups. Horse. So that's what this book goes into, a little bit about each suit. I'm not going to go into there. So now we're going to look. So it really does. So then we've got chapter 6, which is all about the trumps, all or nothing. So that's your major arcana. For example, like the Emperor. I'm not going to go into that either. You can do looking at the cards yourself. So we're not going to do that. And now we're going to do the daily pull. Pausing, unknowing, looking, and leaning in. Okay, so this is chapter 7 that we're starting to dive into here. Mindful Tarot is about finding and living our questions. To start this sort of practice is to embark on a fool's journey. As I suggested in the last chapter, that journey requires beginner's mind, an absolutely alive, embodied, and open freshness. The freshness of the very first card in the tarot deck, the Fool. What could be more delicious? I once heard a Zen teacher refer to beginner's mind as the feeling of what's that. It's like sticking your hand in your pocket and feeling a small object, maybe rough or smooth, dense or light, and not knowing what you've touched. Can we linger in the openness of that moment of contact when that object isn't yet a key or penny or forgotten cough drop? And then can we engage every ounce and speck of our curiosity, allowing ourselves to fall in love with the toothy sharpness of the key, with the tangy smoothness of the penny, with the waxy crinkle of a cough drop wrapper? What's that? This is a practice of patience. Have patience, the poet Rainer Maria Rilke counselled a young protege over a century ago in Letters to a Young Poet. Try to love the questions as if they were locked rooms. Live everything. Live the questions now. Mindful Tarot cultivates our capacity to live and love what is unknown and unresolved. To live like the Fool in the openness of beginner's mind, inhabiting what hasn't yet been decided, processed and packaged. That openness, that space of the question, is nothing less than the tender growing edge of our lives, is nothing less than the present moment, complete, lavish, and unconstrained. In this chapter, we'll explore the kind of patience required for a mindful tarot practice. It's not as complicated or as onerous as you might think. We can practice tarot mindfully with any spread and any deck that we choose. When building any other spiritual practice, it's important to start out simply and with consistency. For me, that means choosing a straightforward, unassuming spread and whatever deck happens to be handy, and then to assuming spread in whatever deck happens to be handy, and then to commit to a daily pull of cards. Commitment and simplicity are key. Otherwise, we run the risk of continually trying to leverage the experience, ever seeking the greener grass over yonder. If we're not careful, our own restless energy and yearning for answers will provide no end of distractions. So grab a deck, any deck really, any deck. The invitation here is to let go of the worry that your deck has to be particular, special, or deep. Just grab whatever you've got. And as for grabbing a note about shuffling, with Mindful Tarot, our aim is to let go of our restlessness and our efforts to leverage the world. We're not trying to be intuitive with our shuffle, nor aiming to feel particularly energized or guided. We don't need any extra special mystical powers or insights to get us going. To gear up a daily mindful tarot practice, we don't need to inquire anything special at all. We don't need a magical message or buzz from the deck, and we don't need to impart a mystical charge to the deck. Life itself is in its abundance, and specificity will provide all the magic and mystic we need. We'll keep it as simple and straightforward as we can. Just shuffle the deck so the cards are in random order. I find it helpful to have a particular way I shuffle every time I shuffle, so I completely avoid the impulse to make moments esoteric and deep. Okay, do you have your deck? Take the deck out of its box, bag, wrapper, or a drawer and simply lay it on the table in front of you. Hello, 78. Okay, I'm using the Universal Tarot. I'm just doing it with this book. Okay, so let's leap in. In this chapter, I'll use my 3-card Chariot spread to explore the fundamental steps of a daily mindful tarot practice, where I call the daily pull. You can find more information about the Chariot spread at the end of this chapter. In the context of tarot, the word pull can be both a verb and a noun. As a verb, pull refers to the act of randomly selecting cards. It's a synonym for draw or deal. I pull tarot cards in order to read them. As a noun, a pull is a spread or layout of cards that I interpret. Pull is also the central acronym of Mindful Tarot. It describes a 4-step process of self-compassionate, patient inquiry into the richness of our lives. Pausing, unknowing, looking, and leaning in. It all begins with the power of the pause. So stop it. Really, please, just stop. For 20 minutes every day, stop what you're doing so that you can start up the special bit of nothing that is spiritual practice. Just hit pause. A daily mindful tarot practice begins with setting aside a time for daily practice. It sounds obvious, but this step can be daunting and can put the kibosh on a spiritual practice before it ever gets off the ground. So right now, dear reader, I invite you to decide on a time for your daily practice. When are you going to hit the pause button in the middle of your daily routine? What do you think? For many people, mornings are best. Carving out 20 minutes at the beginning of their day can set the tone for everything that follows. Centuries upon centuries of seekers have taken this route. Believe me, I know that the morning already feels rushed. There's already not enough time, right? But I challenge you to be curious about that judgment. Here are some alternative ideas. Why not wake up early? Forgo that second cup of coffee. Take your shower the night before. Lay out your next day's clothes before you go to bed. Ditto with making your lunch, your kids' lunch, your spouse's lunch, your dog's lunch. If waking up early is hard for you, the night before can offer a lovely expanse of time. You can use it for all sorts of things that normally make the morning a mad rush. Or why not vow not to check your email, newsfeeds, Facebook, etc. before 9 a.m. You'll thank me later if you choose that route now. 20 minutes, give yourself that, and then turn off and put away your cell phone and any other distracting devices, Fitbit, MP3 player, iPad, computer, that might go beep or bop or tempt you with their luscious screens. If you can shut a door, leaving critters, family, friends and roommates on the other side. Take both time and space for yourself. Take a time out. Taking time out is indeed the single most important thing you can do for yourself, for your friends and family, for your frenemies and the strangers in the world, and for the planet itself. In fact, carefully structured stopping is a core not only of mindfulness practice, but of any path of awakening. The Psalms of the Hebrew Bible imagine the Almighty's own advice to use. Be still and know that I am God, Psalm 46:10. When we quit squirming, the universe tends to fill the gap. All the creatures of the forest return to their business, birds pecking at the ground, deer grazing on the tender shoots of plants, squirrels clambering up the trees. When we learn to pause, we give the whole world around us an opportunity to come forward, breathe, and unwind. So hit the pause button on a regular basis and put your daily routine on hold. Your tasks will lie quietly waiting for your return. Your day won't even miss you. In fact, your day will be better for it. When we hit the pause button for our spiritual work, we're actually practicing a general skill that we can bring into daily life. There's a quote often attributed to the extraordinary psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl that comes to mind. Between stimulus and response there is a space, and that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Our lives are largely ruled by reactivity, like a game of tennis. A ball comes at us and we swing, whack. We connect or we don't, but the ball remains in play no matter what. A volley here and a volley there. Sometimes our stroke lands true and we rejoice. Sometimes we pick up the ball ourselves, take the initiative and serve. But no matter what, we're caught up in the ongoing action, our movement always in reaction to what comes before, the pace of our lives seemingly beyond our control. Swap, swap, swap. Stimulus and response are not the same thing. The ball hurtling towards us and the swing of our racket are two separate things. Unfortunately, life usually moves too fast for us to notice this separation. We just keep swinging, as if the game itself were not inevitable. Or rather, it's not necessarily that life is too fast, it's more that we're simply caught up in the flow. It's not that we can't notice the gap between stimulus and response, it's just that we don't notice it. Habitually, we just keep swinging, swap, swap. Mindfulness practice begins with the pause. We stop in the middle of our daily routine and take time out for structured spiritual practice, and then bit by bit we begin to notice that we can pause at any point in the very midst of life. We can notice our triggers and our reactions, and we can be curious about our particular volley. Over time, as we get better and better at pausing, and the gap between stimulus and response may very well widen. Over time, we may indeed learn to rest in that space of freedom. Over time, as we practice the power of the pause, we may even begin to exercise the power of choice. Check out the pause meditation on Mindful Practice's website, Mindful Tarot Practice. So I'm not going to go into detail here. You can find that on Mindful Tarot website, Mindful Tarot Practice website. So please go and check that out. So I'm not going to go through and do that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the spread. Okay, so what is happening here so she rests on the stack of the cards, right? So she's got a hand here. See, without formulating a question or a concern, gently lift my hand and turn over the first card. Okay, so the first card goes into the center. So let me just shuffle for a second. Okay, so center here. Okay, so the first card. Card number 2 and card number 3. Okay. So the first card, let's have a look. Okay, so the central card. Okay, so for me it's the 4 of Cups. And then I do this card here. And then this one. So we've got, so the central card. Don't worry about any reverses or anything like that. This is here. Oh, I see, it's the Chariot spread. So we're looking at the two. So when we look at it's the Chariot, right? So we've got the central card, and then we've got the black and white aspects of the looking at perspectives on my centerpiece. So the black and white sphinxes in the Chariot. These two cards present 2 additional perspectives on my centerpiece. Okay, so we've got the 4 of Cups about being bored, right? So then we've got this, we've got the 2 of Cups, which is about the sense of give and take, finding balance, a relationship, moving to a new level on some level. Okay, and then we've got the Queen of Wands with nurturing the desires, the passions, the sexuality, etc. So that's interesting. So it's just going through and looking at each card. So I'm looking at it without so that to me is really about looking at the cards. Okay, write down your initial thoughts without going into too much detail, and then lean into it. So that's interesting. I'm not going to go into details. If you want to know more, I really suggest reading the book, really go exploring Mindful Tarot on YouTube, look at the website. Really suggest just sort of go into it a bit more. I just wanted to share a little bit of information that you can do yourself. So being the Chariot spread, you can try this, going into the central figure, and then the black and white sphinx, looking at 2 perspectives in regards to the central card. So give it a try and see how you feel. So that's it from me. Don't forget to check the links down below. Check the links on my channel. Like, subscribe and ring the bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded. Take care and blessed be.